Oh, good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us today for this top 7 rail holidays via the Alps. We're just waiting on a few more of you to log in, so we'll get started in about 60 seconds or so. For those of you that have logged in already, if you wouldn't mind just dropping me a quick note in the little questions section to the right there, just to let me know that you can hear me. It's just nice to have know we've avoided any technical hitches before we get going this morning. So yeah, if you'd be kind enough just to drop us a note to say that you can hear us. So obviously, if there are any audio issues, let me know. But hopefully we're okay. And then in about 60 seconds, we'll get going once everybody's joined. Thanks very much. Okay, everyone, thanks very much. Looks like we have everybody here, and thanks of those who mentioned that they can hear me. That's always great to know. So let's get cracking today. So thanks again for joining this Railbookers webinar, the top 7 rail holidays via the Alps. My name's Sam. I'm the general manager here at Railbookers. Also spent some time as the sales manager a few years back as well. So I've spoken about these holidays many times, and hopefully I can give you some insightful information and some good ideas about what we can offer here at Railbookers, especially for rail holidays via the Alps. Just before we get started, please do remember you can download your free handouts there at the top right. And if you have any questions, please do pop them into the question box. I will try to answer as many as I can at the end of the webinar. For any of those that we don't get to, because we do often get a whole host of them, we can always give you a call to chat a bit more if you like, and answer any questions that we don't get round to. So what will we cover in today's presentation? We'll be talking about our most popular trips through the Alps. We'll be looking at travel into Italy via Switzerland. We'll be looking at travel into Italy via Austria. We'll be looking at big dual country holidays, you know, the scenic trains within Switzerland taking you through into Italy. And we'll also be looking at some of our more luxurious holidays, such as the Orient Express through to Verona. For those of you that have participated in our webinars before, you'll know that we spend the first few minutes just talking about ourselves at Railbookers, what we offer, why people like to come to us, and the different partners that we work with that allow us to put these holidays together. So if you have seen this before, my apologies, grab yourself a cup of tea. This takes about 5 or 10 minutes, and then we'll be into the real heart and the meat of the webinar, talking about those different holidays. But I did want to start by mentioning our Discover Europe sale that we have on now. We appreciate, we're very sensitive to the fact that, you know, nobody can really travel anywhere right now. A lot of people have missed out on their holidays for 2020, but we do want to offer people that chance to save a bit of money if they're looking to travel perhaps next year, or maybe Christmas time this year when hopefully things may start to open up. But we have our Discover Europe sale. Now, this runs all the way through to the summer of 2022. So any of those holidays you're looking at for next year, or even further afield, we're looking to give you some great savings of up to £500 per couple, and that's £250 per person, of course. And all the holidays that we look at today qualify for this sale. It does run until August 28th, and if you do want to learn a little bit more about it, then of course you can give us a call afterwards. But I wanted to mention that up front, just so you're aware of the discounts that we have running at the moment. So just a quick look at why our customers and why travelers love using Railbookers. So first of all, we do sell a lot of bucket list experiences for special occasions, and a bucket list experience could be anything from your first time to Paris for 3 nights, all the way through to a cross-country trip through Canada, or that trip on the Orient Express that I mentioned earlier. We do get a lot of people calling us up for those special wedding anniversaries or those birthdays, and I often, we feel very honoured and very privileged when someone puts that in our hands. It's a very special time for some people, these holidays, and we do try and make each holiday as extra special as possible, especially if there's an occasion that's centered around it. So if you are looking for that big holiday, that big birthday, that big wedding anniversary, we often put together these holidays for people, and it's one of the main reasons that our customers come to us, because we can organize those special occasions. We also give you freedom and flexibility. So these aren't group tours, they are individual trips. You have a global support team, of course, 24 hours, when you're traveling, so you're never really on your own, but you do have the freedom to explore the cities at your own leisure. You aren't in a big group, you aren't set to a specific routine or diary each day. You do have freedom and flexibility to travel. Of course, traveling by train is a very scenic way to travel. We often like to say that the sightseeing is included throughout your entire holiday. You get to really understand the landscapes of a country, understand the size of a country, how extreme some of these countries are, and the ever-changing landscapes as you go between country to country. It's an extremely scenic way to travel, and of course a very relaxing way to travel as well. One thing that people don't often realize as well is all our itineraries are customizable, which means that anything that you see today can be tinkered with and tailored to fit your needs, to fit exactly what you want from one of our holidays, whether that be extra nights, different classes of service, additional tours, you'd like to add destinations in, or maybe do the trip in reverse. Everything's customizable. What we suggest really is just that, they're suggestions. But if you'd like to do something slightly different, give us a call, have a chat with us, and we can customize it to fit you. Of course, we have a deposit now, pay later system. So if you are looking to travel next year, of course, you'd only be expected to pay a small deposit up front now. Generally, the final balance is due around 90 days prior to travel, and before then, it's just a small deposit. And under usual circumstances, we'd sell holidays from 2 days out to 2 years out. Of course, there aren't many people looking to travel in 2 days for obvious reasons, but we are able to facilitate those holidays for next year and the year after. So our holidays, we say they go anytime, any day, to anywhere the train goes, really. So, a few ideas there as to why people come to Railbookers and why people love using us for their holidays. We also have a maximum flexibility offer in place, given the current climate, of course. So to give you that additional peace of mind, of course, we all hope that what we're going through right now will ease off, especially into next year, and we'll all be able to travel again and be a bit more relaxed and less fearful when we are traveling. But we do have a flexibility policy in place, which means that you can change your travel dates or postpone your trip up to 5 days prior to departure. And that gives you that peace of mind. If for any reason you can't travel on your book dates, if things haven't eased down by the time you're looking to go, you do have that flexibility to change and postpone and book for a different day, and that's up to 5 days prior to departure. If you already have a reservation with us as well, you can reschedule up to 5 days prior to departure as well. This is without incurring any change fees. And currently, this is if you book before 30th of September, but we're monitoring the situation very closely as well. And if we need to extend that, we will. But this flexibility offer gives you some peace of mind, given the current circumstances that we find ourselves in. So I mentioned this earlier, we do have 24-hour support from our global offices. We have an office in London, 2 in the US, one just outside of Boston and one just outside of Los Angeles. We have a Canadian office and a Sydney office as well. That means that, regardless of where you're traveling to in the world, what time zone you're in, you will always have somebody to call upon should you need to. We're very proud of our 24-hour global support, and our guest relations team is completely separate from our sales team. So we have dedicated staff towards to look at any customer care issues or guest relations issues that we might have. Here's a quick look at the rail network map. One of our taglines is we like to say that we take the mystery out of rail travel. You'll see this kind of spider web of the rail network across Europe, and these are really just the main lines as well. Quite often people give us a call and say that they've had a look themselves and they've seen where they want to go, but it's just a bit too complex to do it all together. There's lots of different rail suppliers that you'll need to book potentially, and we take the stress out of it. And sometimes you can look at this and think, wow, what can I do? There's so much to explore, but I just don't know where to start. And our travel consultants are there to explain to you exactly what routes are available to you, the best ways to travel, the most efficient ways, most economical ways to travel as well. So if you've got an idea, and this map is a good place to start, you can download this map from the handout section. You can see exactly where you can explore by rail. You can then give us a call and we'll piece it together for you in the best possible way. Just a few of our direct partners as well that allow us to build these packages and holidays for you. So we're partnered with all the main operators across Europe. So Trenitalia, Deutsche Bahn, of course, in Germany, Eurostar, to name a few. And then the 2 big North American operators as well, Via Rail in Canada and Amtrak in the US. And this allows us to be able to book those 2 years in advance, to get those great rates for you, to also make any requests if it is a special occasion, upper deck seating, window seats, things like that, to make sure that we can put together the perfect holiday for you. And these direct rail partnerships that we've built up over the years really do help when planning that perfect holiday for you. And so just to cover something that's very important to people right now, this is how our rail operators, travel operators in general, maintaining a safe environment at the moment. So just to go through a few points here before we continue. So the rail operators, of course, requiring facial coverings in stations and on trains for passengers and staff. That really goes without saying right now. The majority of them as well have stopped the sale of food and drink on board trains. Some of them are still, serving food and drink in sealed containers and such, but a lot of them have stopped the sale of food and drink on board. But the great thing about rail travel, of course, is that you can take as much food and drink on board yourself as you please. You can take the sandwiches, a bottle of wine, you can have a picnic whilst you watch the countryside roll by. So even though you can't purchase food on board right now, it doesn't stop you from actually enjoying your food and drink on board. It's just we would suggest that you take it on board yourself at the moment. A lot of the operators have changed the seating configuration and allocation on board. Some of them are only running at around 60-70% capacity to allow for social distancing. Of course, there's increased cleaning and sanitation, and as we found, in all walks of life right now, everything's moving contactless. So very few paper tickets to help with the hygiene. A lot of the tickets will be, on your mobile phone, and most operators are moving towards a contactless ticketing system now, just to help out. Okay, and just another tagline of ours is "We know because we go." Here's some pictures of a lot of our staff on the different trains across Europe and North America. The Bernina Express in the top left is one that we'll be touching on, and the Orient Express in the bottom right we'll be looking at a bit later on as well. But what we do once a year is that we send all our staff away to experience one of our holidays. This means that when you call in to talk to one of our consultants, there'll be someone in that office that will have hopefully experienced the holiday that you're looking to take. So we can give you that first-hand insider information, those tips and tricks to help you while you're traveling. We really do pride ourselves on being the experts. We know people come to us for our expertise because of how difficult it can be to organize these holidays yourself. So we like to send everybody away for that first-hand experience, and we find that that really helps when you call in and talk to our staff, because they have been there and they can give you that first-hand information. Okay, so let's start getting into why we're all here, which is to look at our holiday. So we're going to start with our Amalfi Coast via the Alps holiday. The first few holidays we'll look at here are all going to use the same route to travel in to Italy. And this is the route via the Simplon Pass. So here you'll see the journey begins in London. Now, just to start, I do want to say that, of course, we're aware that not everybody lives in London, only a small fraction of the population does. Of course, if you're traveling down from a regional station, then we can, of course, include your UK rail tickets for you as well before you board the Eurostar. So don't worry about that. Of course, these holidays start from anywhere in the UK. But once you're in London, it's the Eurostar across to Paris, and then it's the high-speed TGV from Paris through to Geneva. We'll try to get you into Geneva for early evening, and you have one night in Geneva. The hotel we use there is just a few minutes walk from the station. It's very close to the banks of Lake Geneva. You can experience a really nice meal on the lake in Geneva that first evening there. And then the morning of the second day is this first trip that we're going to talk about, into the Alps, and this is going through the stunning Simplon Pass. So this will actually take you through and around the Swiss Alps. It's around a 7-hour journey into Florence. But it's one of the most scenic ways to travel into Italy for sure. The journey starts at around 7:30 in the morning. It's quite an early start out of Geneva. But what it means is that if you're at the right time of year, the right weather, if it's a clear day, you can actually experience the sun rising over the Alps, which is one of those views that you wouldn't get, of course, if you were flying. It's something you could only really experience if you're traveling by train. Even if you're driving through the pass, really you don't get the opportunity to look out of your window, of course, and experience those views. So this 7-hour journey through the Swiss Alps, along the Simplon Pass, from Geneva through Milan down to Florence, is a spectacular way to enter Italy. And a lot of our holidays are based around this route. We know that people come to us for the rail travel, for the scenery, for our expertise, and this is one of the real highlights of any holiday that we offer into Italy is this trip through the Simplon Pass. So after your first night in Geneva and your trip through the Simplon Pass, we then take you into Florence. So you've got just one night in Florence on this particular trip. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, all our holidays are tailor-made. If you wanted to spend an extra night in Florence, then absolutely no problem at all. And actually, just to quickly touch upon our sale right now, this 7-day holiday actually gives you £300 per couple off if you were to book this one. If you was to extend that to an 8-day holiday, it would actually give you an additional £100 off. The amount of money that you get off the holiday depends on the duration. So actually, if you added an additional night in Florence, you'd almost be getting that night for free right now. And again, our travel consultants can talk you through these offers that we have. But if you did want that additional night in Florence, it would be something that I would advise. Of course, Florence, you've got the Uffizi Gallery, Michelangelo's David in the Accademia. You've got the fantastic Duomo Cathedral, the Ponte Vecchio Bridge. So there's a lot to see in Florence. You will arrive into Florence, as I say, around in early afternoon. So you will have a full afternoon to explore if you just want the one night. But my suggestion may be to up that to 2 nights. After your time in Florence, there's around about a 3.5-hour train journey on one of the high-speed Freccia trains in Italy. It's fantastic service they run in Italy on their high-speed trains down to Naples. And then there is a little regional train that takes you from Naples down to Sorrento called the Circum Vesuviana. So it kind of travels around Vesuvius, as the name suggests. And Sorrento is where we base you on the Amalfi Coast. Sorrento, a lovely coastal town, southwestern Italy, faces the Bay of Naples on the Sorrentine Peninsula. The hotels are, perched atop the cliffs there that separate the town from the marinas. Gives you a fantastic view there over the Mediterranean Sea. So it's a lovely place to base yourself on the Amalfi Coast for a few days. You can travel along the coast of Amalfi. You can travel to Amalfi itself, which is really the upmarket area of the peninsula. If you wanted to, we could base you in Amalfi. It probably would add quite a bit to the starting price, but if you were looking for a bit more of a luxurious place to stay. You could base yourself in Amalfi, but Sorrento is a really nice place to spend those 4 days. And we also include day trips to Pompeii and Herculaneum, and also to Capri to see the Blue Grotto as well. So Pompeii and Herculaneum, of course, very famous as UNESCO World Heritage Sites. You can get to experience both those ancient cities. There's a 3-course lunch as well. It's a guided day tour. And there's a jet foil tour as well, takes you over to Capri, where you get fantastic views of the coast. And also you get to experience the natural wonder of the Blue Grotto, which is a sea cave, which is famous for having sunlight that passes through an underwater cavity. And then the seawater creates a blue reflection, illuminates the cave. And it's quite a spectacular tour, actually, that Capri and Blue Grotto day tour from Sorrento. So you'll have kind of 2 days to relax in Sorrento, and you've got 2 days to experience some tours and trips as well while you're there. So this is the first holiday we've seen, and you can see there it flies you back from Naples. Now we're going to look at some alternative ways to get back by train in some of the other holidays that we'll be taking a peek at in a moment, but this one includes in the price of flight back. But if you did wish to travel back by train, of course, a lot of our customers don't want to fly. They're looking to do the round trip by rail. We can organise that for you as well. But this one is based on a flight back from Naples. So this one starts at £1,529 per person. All these prices, of course, don't include the discount that you would be privy to should you be looking to book over the next couple of weeks. Couple of pictures here. So bottom right, you've got the famous Duomo Cathedral of Florence. You've got Pompeii and Vesuvius as well, and then some pictures of Sorrento and that view over the Bay of Naples, as I mentioned. Okay, so the next holiday we'll look at is a variation on the same theme. So this is Florence and Lake Como by the Alps. Again, you'll see the holiday starts in London, takes you down to Paris, through to Geneva, that 1 night in Geneva, and then that stunning trip through the Swiss Alps along the Simplon Pass. This time we'll stop you in Como to begin with. This is probably a slightly more relaxing holiday than the Sorrento and Florence one. You have a couple of days to relax on Lake Como itself, and that's where the trip in Italy will start. So Lake Como, known for being an upscale resort with its kind of dramatic scenery set against it's in the foothills of the Alps. Really, it's just a great place to relax for a couple of days, eat some fantastic food, drink some good wine, and just admire the views of the lake and the Swiss Alps in the Italian Alps, excuse me, in the background. While you're there, you can take day trips across the lake. You can travel over to Bellagio, which is known as the Pearl of Lake Como. Bit of a playground for the rich and famous, Bellagio, famous for its beautiful villas, but also it's got some like charming alleys, shops, boutique restaurants, boutique shops. So it's nice to, if you wish to actually take a boat across the lake and experience Como and the different areas if you've got the time to. But really, it's just a nice couple of days to relax. After that, we take you down to Florence again on the high-speed train in Italy. It's only a few hours to get down to Florence from Como via Milan. Here we do give you 2 days in Florence to give you that bit more time to experience the city. We actually include a skip the line tour of the Accademia Gallery as well in this one. And a lot of our holidays, we like to include the skip the line tours. We know how precious time is for you while you're traveling, and we like to make sure that, of course, you're not stuck in those queues for hours on end, or even have the chance of missing out on one of these great sites because they're fully booked. So we do like to include a lot of skip the line tours as well, just to make sure that your time is as usefully used as possible. Also, when in Florence, just a tip of mine, there is a lovely little village about a 15-minute bus ride away called Fiesole. It's right up into the hills. It gives you the most dramatic views of Florence and the city itself. It's away from almost all tourists. Very few people are aware of it. If you call in and speak to any of our agents, they'll probably advise the same. This is the type of insider information that we like to give you, things that are slightly off the beaten track as well, to keep you away from the tourists. You can have a lovely lunch up there and you can experience the views of the city in a very peaceful setting So it's something I would recommend if you are in Florence at any time. So after your 2 nights in Florence, you can either fly back, you can fly back via Pisa, or you can take the train back via Turin. So you can go from Florence to Turin, spend a night in Turin, and then take the high-speed TGV train back to Paris, and then the Eurostar back to London. Or if you would like to just get back to London or your regional airport, of course we can take you back to, as I mentioned earlier, anywhere in the UK. If you'd like just to get back as quickly as possible, we do fly you out of Pisa. The connections from Pisa back to the UK are actually a lot better than they are from Florence. And when I spent some time in Florence and flew back from Pisa, I travelled to Pisa relatively early in the morning, dropped my bags at the station, and spent half a day in Pisa. Went to see the Leaning Tower, had lunch there, made sure that I had a flight, late afternoon, early evening, and extended my stay, and had some new experiences for that half day in Pisa. So you can get to see Geneva, Como, Florence, a bit of Pisa as well. And this starts from £1,029 per person for 6 days. And I think if you are flying back, it's a really nice way to end the trip, is actually to go and see the Leaning Tower of Pisa before you fly home. Just a nice addition to the tour. Again, just a few pictures here. You've got Florence, top right there. You can just about see the Ponte Vecchio bridge. Bottom right, you've got the Frecciarossa trains there, the Italian trains. You can see how spacious they are, how clean they are. It really is a lovely way to travel through Italy on the trains. Great service as well. Got Lake Como, bottom right, and bottom left, I should say, and top left as well. I think that may well be Bellagio, actually. But you can see very, very scenic Lake Como, and a lovely, peaceful, relaxing place to spend a couple of days. Okay, so the third holiday we'll look at is based around the 3 major cities in Italy: Venice, Florence, and Rome. So again, journey takes you London, Paris, Geneva, and then through the Simplon Pass, this time into Venice. I would say that there's no more spectacular way to arrive into any city than by train into Venice. Arriving into the Santa Lucia station, stepping off the train and then walking outside the station to see the Grand Canal there in front of you in all its glory, with the building seemingly kind of floating atop it. It's a view that flying in will never afford you. It's something that you'll only experience if you are to arrive into Venice by train. If you've never been to Venice before, I would say please do see if you can arrive in by train the first time you go. It's one of those jaw-dropping experiences that not many people get to witness. Most people do fly into Venice, but if you can arrive by train, it's just a magical feeling when you walk out of the station. It really, especially after that journey through the Simplon Pass and the Swiss Alps, it's a fantastic day. It really is, that journey through the Swiss Alps and then that arrival into Venice. So here we start you in Venice. You've got 2 nights in Venice. One of the highlights of Venice for me, we include a walking tour, we include a gondola tour, but for me, Venice is all about exploration and just wandering around the cobbled streets, getting lost down the little nooks and crannies, finding different areas of the city. You can't go too far wrong. You are surrounded by water, of course, so you can't get too lost, but it's really it's such a fantastic little island just to explore. You'll come across basilicas, churches, different pieces of architecture, bridges, canals that you can't get across, and it's just a great city to explore. Of course, you've got St. Mark's Square, the Rialto Bridge, the Doge's Palace, but really it's just a place to explore for a couple of days. Also, what I would recommend if you have the time is to travel over to Murano if you're in Venice to witness the glass blowing there. It's fantastic. And there's also the island of Burano as well, which has multicolored houses, which is quite a spectacle. So if you have got the time, it's nice to take some trips out to the other islands as well. And make sure you spend some time on the canals, whether it be by gondola or on one of the vaporettos, the water buses they have that get you around. Again, it's not an experience that you'll really get anywhere else. So we give you 2 nights in Venice. Then you take the high-speed train down to Florence. These train journeys are around about an hour and a half. So again, traveling by train through Italy is a fantastic way to do it, for ease, for speed, for relaxation, for comfort. So you'll be into Florence for early afternoon. Already touched upon Florence again, so I think 2 nights is the perfect amount of time. Gives you 1 afternoon and 1 full day to experience Florence, and then takes you down to Rome for 2 nights. If you were looking to extend the holiday at all, I would perhaps recommend extending it in Rome if you've got the time. 2 nights is fine, but there is a huge amount to see in Rome, of course. The Colosseum, the Trevi Fountain, Spanish Steps, Pantheon. You've got the Vatican, of course, just to name a few. So yeah, you can spend 2 full days in Rome quite easily. 1.5 days is fine, but I think maybe if you were looking to extend, Rome would be a good place to have an additional night. And again, you've got the savings right now as well, so these additional nights, you're almost getting them for free, as I mentioned earlier. The great thing about Rome, Florence, and Venice as well is that all the cities are extremely walkable. You won't have to rely on public transport. You won't have to worry about your time being eaten up by taking transport around the cities. They're all extremely walkable, and it makes for a fantastic 3-center holiday. I did Venice and Florence as a 2-center holiday, and I did Rome on its own, but I think combining them as a 3 is fantastic. It's a great use of time, and it's a really great way. And they're all very different as well. They've all got their unique aspects to them that make, even though they're very close to one another, you experience in different cultures and different food as you're traveling through them in different regions of Italy, of course. As you're traveling from north to south. So this is a real favorite one of mine. If you're looking for a bit more relaxation, then maybe Como or Sorrento. But if you're looking to get the most out of your time with the cities, then this is a great option for you. And again, you've got that choice to either take the train back via Turin. So again, you almost experience 5 cities in one trip here. Or if you're looking to fly back, we can fly you back directly from Rome, no problem at all. So this holiday, 8 days, starts from £1,249 per person. You've got the Rialto Bridge, top left. I think that's the Roman Forum, bottom left there, and the Trevi Fountain, of course, and Michelangelo's David, top right there. Okay, so moving on to our Italian lakes and Swiss mountains holiday. So this is a different one. This one actually starts by flying you into Italy, and it takes you back through the Swiss Alps. But this is a dual country holiday. So you're going to spend a bit of time in Italy, and you're going to spend quite a bit of time in Switzerland as well. And this is probably the most scenic holiday that we'll look at today, because it's going to take you on the Bernina Express and the Glacier Express and the Jungfrau as well in Switzerland. So 3 of those famous scenic trains and excursions in Switzerland. I'll talk about those in just a moment. But this holiday starts with a flight actually into Rome. Again, for those of you that don't fly or don't wish to fly, you could take the trip through the Simplon Pass, as we've seen already, via Geneva down to Rome, or you could even go in via Turin. Completely up to you. But the holiday we're looking at here starts with a flight into Rome. Starts with 2 nights in Rome. If you're taking a morning flight, you'll arrive into Rome for early afternoon. You can spend that first afternoon in Rome, and you'll have a full day. And then you can spend the morning in Rome as well before taking a train up to the Italian lakes. But as mentioned before, if you would like to extend a 3rd night in Rome, it would definitely give you ample time to see everything that's there. So 2 nights in Rome, and then you're going to take the high-speed train up to Milan, and then we're going to take you straight through to Lake Maggiore, and you're going to have 4 nights to relax on the Italian lakes here. So it starts in Lake Maggiore. We base you in a little town called Stresa on the banks of Lake Maggiore. Stresa is a lovely little lakeside town, lots of markets, historical churches, just very relaxing place to be. A bit quieter than Lake Como as well. Again, like Como, it's got ferries that run around the lake daily, so you can explore the length of Lake Maggiore itself. But really, it's just a place to relax for a couple of days after those 2 days in Rome. We then take you on to Lake Como, which we mentioned earlier. Again, just a lovely place to relax, have some good food, some nice wine, and perhaps take a trip across the lake to Bellagio if you wish. So 4 days to relax on the lakes. Then we take you down to Milan, and you'll spend an afternoon and that evening in Milan. Just to mention, actually, all the hotels that you stay in are, of course, all city centre. They're all close to the attractions, and they all come with with breakfast as well. And they're based around a 3-4 star quality for these holidays as well. If you are looking for that bit more of a luxurious trip, we do go all the way through to the 5-star hotels as well. And our consultants can talk to you about the hotels. Just to mention that before I forget. So you've got a night in Milan. The reason we base you in Milan is because the next morning you're going to take a trip up to the border of Switzerland, a little town called Tirano, right on the edge of Switzerland and Italy. And it's from Tirano that you're going to pick up the Bernina Express. So this is where the real scenic part of this holiday begins. Some of you may be well aware of the Bernina Express and the Glacier Express as well, two very famous scenic trains, famous for their panoramic windows and views that allow you to experience that Swiss scenery in all its glory. So you'll arrive into Tirano for about midday, and then you'll take the Bernina Express through to San Moritz. The Bernina Express, if you've seen any picture postcards or famous train pictures or railway pictures of Switzerland, it will probably be of the Bernina Express itself. The whole Bernina Express line is a UNESCO heritage site. It's probably what the Swiss are most proud of when it comes to their railways, and this is a country that sees their railways as almost an institution there. So it's a fantastic journey. It takes about 3 hours to get up to San Moritz. You'll spend one night in San Moritz, again with a backdrop to the Alps, and then the next morning you'll take a trip on the Glacier Express. The Glacier Express is affectionately known as the slowest express train in the world. It only runs at about 25 miles per hour. And it's this train that takes you right up into the Swiss Alps itself. Because it runs only 20-25 miles an hour, it allows you to experience the landscapes as you're passing through. And this is about a 6-hour trip all the way through to Interlaken. We base you in Interlaken for a couple of nights. The reason that we base you in Interlaken is because it allows you to take a trip on the Jungfrau, which is the highest point in Europe you can access by train. And you get a full day trip to the top of the Jungfrau Joch. From the top there, you can actually, on a clear day, see as far as the Black Forests of Germany. There's an ice palace at the top. There's a chocolate shop, there's a restaurant, but really you go up there for the views of the Swiss Alps. We give you a route that takes you up one side of the mountain and down the other. I would advise getting off at the little stops. You've got Grindelwald, Wengen, Lauterbrunnen. You can see these Swiss villages that are cut into the mountains as you travel up, and this is a fantastic way to end this holiday with a day trip to the Jungfrau. It's probably the most spectacular part of the journey itself. So you have 2 nights in Interlaken and that full day on the Jungfrau. After your time in Interlaken, we take you to Zurich for 1 night, and then we fly you back to the UK. Or of course, as mentioned before, you can take the TGV back to Paris and then on to London. So this is 12 days. This is a jam-packed itinerary, city break, relaxing lake break, and a scenic holiday all rolled into one. And so if you've got the time, 12 days, 11 nights. This is kind of one of those bucket list experiences that we mentioned earlier. And again, this one actually allows £500 off per couple because it's that slightly longer journey. So just going to take a quick look. Here's the Bernina Express for you, so you can see kind of dramatic lake views and the mountains in the background. Again, you can kind of see the space that you've got on those big panoramic windows as well on the Bernina Express, and very similar for the Glacier Express. Glacier Express actually also comes with a 3-course lunch on board as well, which is very nice because it's a slightly longer journey. The Glacier Express probably has a slightly better level of service than the Bernina Express. You have headphones to talk you through the landscape and also the history of the area as well while you're on board. And here's a picture of the bottom right there. You can see the viewing platform at the top of the Jungfrau, so hopefully you have a head for heights, and some other pictures of the train winding up through the valleys into the mountain. So the next holiday we'll look at is our Swiss Lakes and Mountains trip. This is similar actually to the holiday we've just seen, but it doesn't include Italy. So there are 3 main scenic routes in Switzerland: the Bernina Express, the Glacier Express, which we just touched upon, and also the Golden Pass as well. So this particular holiday starts in Geneva, We can take the train into Geneva via Paris, or we can fly you into Geneva, and then you'll take a train around the lake and spend your first night in Montreux on the banks of Lake Geneva. Again, you can have dinner in a restaurant right by the lake, and your hotel is just opposite the lake as well. It's very close to the station, just a few steps from the banks of Lake Geneva. The reason we base you in Montreux is because this is where the Golden Pass train departs from. Golden Pass is, unlike the Bernina and Glacier Express, it doesn't go up into the hills. This takes you through the valleys and across and around the lake, so you can experience and see the countryside that Switzerland has to offer. Again, it has the big panoramic windows to give you those full views, and this is about 3.5 hours. That takes you into Interlaken. Again, you'll have the full day trip to the top of the Jungfrau with your 2 nights in Interlaken. And then we're almost doing it in reverse this way. Then you're going to take the Glacier Express from Brig through to Chur. We don't base you in Saint Moritz for this one. We base you in Chur, 2 nights in Chur, which is a lovely romantic village, again set against the backdrop of the Alps. The reason we base you in Chur is because this is actually where the Bernina Express departs from. When you do a round trip on the Bernina Express here, you take a 3.5 hour journey down to Tirano on the Bernina Express, have some lunch in Tirano, and then we take you back on the Bernina Express to Chur. What it means is that we tend to find that people are taking all their photos on the journey down. On the way back, you can put your camera away, safe in the knowledge that you've got all the photos that you need, and you can just enjoy the views for yourself, and maybe see something that you missed on the way down. So it's a nice way to do it. So you have 2 nights in Chur, and then we take you back to Zurich as in the previous trip. And we can either fly you back, or we can take you via Paris on the TGV. So this is a slightly shorter journey. This is the Swiss Lakes and Mountains. Doesn't include Italy. 6 days, starting from £1,149 per person. Great introduction to Switzerland. Great introduction to that route into Europe via the Alps. If you're not looking for that big 2-week holiday straight away, and you're looking for a slightly more condensed rail holiday to start, fantastic way to do it, and includes, as I mentioned, 4 of the most scenic trains and excursions in Switzerland: the Golden Pass, the Glacier Express, the Bernina Express, and the Jungfrau, all rolled into one. So a few pictures there of Switzerland and the lakes, and what you'll experience while you're away. And this is Lake Geneva, Lake Thun, and Lake Brienz, which you'll see as you travel from Geneva to Montreux, and then onwards on the Golden Pass into Interlaken. And these are the kind of views the Golden Pass will give you. As I mentioned earlier, it doesn't take you up into the hills, but it does roll past those vast lakes that Switzerland has to offer to give you that varied scenery. Okay, now we're going to talk about our most luxurious trip, which is the Venice Simplon Orient Express to Verona. This journey really is all about the Orient Express. There are 2 end points to the Orient Express, Verona and Venice. We're going to look at Verona today, but if you wanted to take the Orient Express to Venice, then you absolutely could do. No problem whatsoever. But as we've already touched upon Venice, we thought we'd take a look at Verona on this one as well. But we'll start with the Orient Express. So the Orient Express departs from London Victoria, and the journey begins on board the British Pullman with its very famous and historic Belle Epoque carriages. So the first part of it is on the British Pullman. This is from London Victoria all the way through to Folkestone. You have a 5-course Bellini brunch in the 3.5 hours that it takes you to get down to Folkestone. So it's a fantastic way, very luxurious way to start your holiday. Arrives into Folkestone. When you arrive, there'll be a brass band actually on the platform to welcome you. And of course, the British Pullman and the Orient Express itself is too old to run underneath the channel. So at that point, when you arrive in Folkestone, you're transferred onto a luxury coach. And that takes you through and under the channel, through the Channel Tunnel, and you arrive in Calais. And it's in Calais where you actually board the Venice Simplon Orient Express itself. You'll be welcomed by a dedicated porter who looks after your carriage. They're fantastic. They take great pride in their work. They'll answer any questions that you might have. They'll even take you on a walk through the train, show you the different dining areas should you wish. You can pick which dining room you wish to eat in. There's 3 different ones. They'll talk to you about the history of the train. They'll talk to you about the food. They'll answer any questions, and they really are at your beck and call for 24 hours. So you're welcomed by your steward. You'll have a welcome glass of sparkling wine, and then they'll settle you into your cabin for that early evening. After you've had a few hours, to experience the cabin, and it really does. You'll go for dinner, and it really does feel like you're transported back, I would say, to the 20s. All the ladies will be in cocktail dresses, the men will be dressed in their tuxedos. You do have to wear black tie as a minimum on the Orient Express when you're going for dinner, but bow ties are recommended. It's a 4-course dinner with a bottle of wine. A la carte menu, very much fine dining as you would expect. Then there's a bar car that you can relax into. They have a pianist there. The bar is open until the last person stops drinking, so usually the bar's open all night. And then you retire back to your cabin for that first evening on board. When you wake up the next morning from your cabin, you'll open your blinds and you'll be in the Swiss Austrian Alps. So there's almost no better experience in the world than waking up on board the Orient Express and looking out your window at the Swiss Alps as you watch the scenery roll by. It's quite an amazing start to the day. Then you'll get a knock on your door and breakfast will be served to your cabin. You spend that full day on board the Orient Express. You do have a 4-course, or actually a 3-course lunch, I believe, that's served, and you also have some afternoon tea as well. But most of your day will be spent in the cabin just watching the world go by from the comfort of and the opulence of the Orient Express. So fantastic journey. I was lucky enough to do it myself 4 or 5 years ago, something I'll never forget. Really is a bucket list experience. Obviously comes, with a price tag, starting price of £3,419. But, in my opinion, worth every penny, and something that very few people will ever get to do. And, if it is something that you're able to do and you have a special occasion coming up, then I very much recommend it. So as I say, this particular holiday we're looking at takes you into Verona. It's a really nice way to end the Orient Express trip, actually, is to visit Verona, because it's a very romantic city itself, a medieval town, famous, of course, for Romeo and Juliet, and Juliet's balcony. Also, the Verona Arena is famous for its opera. The Verona Arena is a huge kind of 1st century Roman amphitheatre, which hosts large-scale opera performance. So anybody that's into their opera and wants to pair that with a trip on the Orient Express, fantastic option for you. So 3 nights in Verona, and then of course you could extend it on. I mean, you could go down to Venice, or up to Venice. You could get down to Florence, Rome, down to Amalfi, experience some time on the lakes. Everything can be packaged up, as I mentioned. So this just gives you an idea of something else you can do, which is to experience Verona. This particular trip, we take you back via Turin. This is all included in the price, that 1 night in Turin, and then the TGV back to Paris and on to London. So that real kind of unique bucket list experience for you on the Orient Express. So here's the porter for you, top left. Bottom right is those kind of, I think that's some Austrian landscape that you'll see there, bottom left, and the Orient Express itself, bottom right. There's the dining car, bottom left, and the lounge. You see, it's very spacious, the lounge area on the right there, and the pianist that I mentioned top left, keep you entertained for the evening. And the cuisine on board, all freshly prepared, all locally sourced, as you would imagine. As I say, very much fine dining experience while you're on board the train. We've tried to get some pictures of the cabin accommodations. It's quite difficult, to be honest, but you can just about make out, I think, the beds there, bottom left. You've got the porter who puts the beds up for you. So when you come back from dinner that first evening, everything will be set up for your night's sleep. I must admit, I find it very, very comfortable. I actually find it very relaxing sleeping on sleeper trains. So I really enjoyed my night's sleep on board. And top left, you can see there is a wash basin there that everybody has in their carriages as well. Okay, so the final trip we'll look at today is the Brenner Pass. So this is slightly different. This is going to be taking you into Italy via Germany and the Austrian Alps. So instead of going London, Paris to Geneva, this actually goes London, Brussels, Frankfurt, Munich. So if you've already experienced Switzerland, or you're just looking to do it a different way, you wanted to see a bit of Germany and a bit of Austria, this is a lovely alternative route into Italy, still using and traveling through the Alps. So that first day is London through to Munich. You could break it up and spend the night in Brussels. You could also break it up and spend the night in Cologne. If you're traveling all the way through, then it makes sense to go via Frankfurt. But if you're looking to maybe stop off en route and shorten that first day and get a bit more out of your holiday, then one night in Cologne, something that I would highly recommend. On any of our holidays where you're traveling through to Munich all the way through to Berlin and Eastern Germany, I would always recommend a night in Cologne to break the journey up. So something I'd recommend for this particular holiday. We'll take you through to Munich. You have that one night in Munich. Again, you could extend that to 2 nights if you wish to have a full day in Munich. And then we take you down to Innsbruck. Innsbruck's known as the capital of the Alps. You'll get to Munich, you'll get to Innsbruck for early afternoon. We'll actually include a cable car round trip to the top of Innsbruck as well. So again, we're hoping you've got a head for heights here. It's called the Nordkette cable car. And it's a gondola lift from Innsbruck to the Nordkette, which is the southernmost mountain in one of the big vast mountain groups of the Alps there. And it gives you spectacular views over Innsbruck and the Alps. It's a great way to experience those views, and a different way to see it via cable car. But the reason we base you in Innsbruck is because this allows you then to travel through the Brenner Pass. So you'll have breakfast in Innsbruck, and then after breakfast you can take the train from Innsbruck through the Alps via the Brenner Pass route. So this journey takes you through the Austrian Alpine meadows and takes you up into kind of the snowy peaks of the Alps, and you'll also skirt around Lake Garda as well before arriving into Venice. So it probably gives you some more varied scenery than the Simplon Pass does, because you're going to experience lakes, meadows of Austria, and those snowy mountain views as well. So it is a fantastic route. You've got the Simplon Pass and the Brenner Pass. They're the 2 most famous routes via the Alps into Italy, one through Switzerland, one through Austria. One isn't necessarily better than the other. It's just up to you, and it depends what you want to see en route, really. So we've ended this particular holiday in Venice. But again, you might not decide to go to Venice. You might go straight through to Rome, straight through to Florence, straight to one of the lakes. Really, what we're trying to give you an idea of here is the different ways that you can access Italy, Switzerland, Austria via the Alps. From then on, really, it's up to you where you look to visit. You know, we've packaged some destinations and some cities up for you, but if you want to do something completely different, just let us know. No problem at all. We can take you to anywhere. So I won't harp on any more about Venice because we've discussed that. Of course, you can then fly back to London. So this Brenner Pass holiday, including Munich, Innsbruck, and Venice, 7 days starting from £849 per person. So you can see it's slightly a little bit more reasonably priced than some of the others because you're not using Switzerland. Switzerland does add a little bit more to the cost, just because of the value that's there in Switzerland and the scenic trains that you're taking. Okay, so a few pictures there of Germany and Innsbruck. Okay, so that concludes the holidays that we're looking at today. I know it's taken me quite a bit of time, so I do apologize. Usually these only tend to be around 45 minutes long, but we've run over a little bit. There's a lot to cover. So I do hope that I've kept you interested. Do hope that I haven't bored you too much and you've enjoyed looking at those different options that we have to take you into Europe via the Alps. Please do add to the question box where you're looking to plan your next holiday to. I'd love to know which ones of these have really caught your eye. It's good for us to know as well, which ones on these webinars that people have taken a real interest in, helps us plan our future presentations to you as well. So always really interested to know what you're looking to do on your next holiday. Or if there's something that you haven't seen today that you was expecting to see, if there's a particular webinar or destination that you'd love to see in the future, please do just drop us a line, use those that question box, and there will be a survey for you to fill out as well, if you wish. Don't worry too much if you can't, but we'd love you to, because we want to know what you're looking to do and how we can help you plan that next holiday. Just a couple of final points. So you may have seen this before, but we have partnerships with a lot of the newspapers and travel industry experts out there. So you may have seen this in the Daily Mail, the Telegraph travel section, also TTG and Travel Weekly, who partner with a lot of your travel agents out there. We use them as well. And last year we won the best rail holiday company overall at the British Travel Awards 2019, which we're very proud of. So if anything you haven't seen today, if you want to learn a bit more about us, please do visit us at railbookers.co.uk. We've just touched upon a few of our holidays, but you'll see the full range on the website there. Also tells you how you can contact us or request a quote online. Just gives you a bit more information about exactly what we have to offer. Also, please do request your brochures now. If you are looking for a brochure, please drop us a note in the question box and we'll make sure to get you a brochure link sent out. Unfortunately, this year we're not doing the paper copies, but if you would like a PDF version, please do let us know. We've got our worldwide holidays in our Railbookers brochure. We've got our Canadian holidays in our Via Rail brochure. And we've also got our North American Amtrak vacations and US holidays in our Amtrak brochure as well there for you. So you can order 1, 2, or 3, or however many you wish, whatever takes your fancy. So just to let you know, our next webinars that are coming up, we have 25th and 27th of August. So this time next week, our top destinations by train, so no fly holidays. So these will all be round trip by rail holidays. So if you're interested in everything that we do that's just rail, could be great for you. And then on the 1st and 3rd of September, we'll be looking at our scenic Switzerland as well. So you'll perhaps see some of the holidays that we've seen today, but there'll also be a few more in addition to that. And it will be exclusively based around scenic Switzerland. So thank you very much. Just having a look to see if we have any questions. I know that we have overrun slightly. I can see that some people have requested some brochures, which is thanks, which is great. Somebody's mentioned that they would like, Louise has said they would love the Orient Express trip, which is fantastic. Wouldn't we all, Louise? But great. I mean, if you are interested in that, I can definitely get one of our travel consultants to give you a call to talk to you about it in more detail, or just give us a ring. When you've got the time, we'd love to talk you through that. And of course, all of you that are looking for brochures, and we'll make sure to get those out to you as well. But as we've been on for almost 55 minutes, I won't keep you any longer. Last thing for me to do really is just to to mention the sale once more. I think I've probably mentioned it enough, to be honest, but just remember we have got the Discover Europe sale on, and say when you're ready, we're ready. This is just a picture of all of us working from home. Usually we'd be in our offices, but we are all still working from home. We've adapted like the rest of the world, but all of our staff are ready and waiting. As soon as you're ready and thinking about your next holiday, give us a call. We'll be there to talk to you about it. So thank you very much for joining me today. I do appreciate all of your time. I hope you've enjoyed it. Hopefully we'll see you again. Maybe we'll speak to a few of you on the phone. I wish you a great day and all the best. Thanks ever so much. Bye-bye now.